And that's how Tom Cruise and I saved Christmas. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Maximum News once again. This is your episode for the second last week of April. God, I can't believe it's almost May. Thank God, because I need the weather to get better at stat. I'm your host, as always, your friendly neighborhood Simpsons kid, Max Derrat, and I'm joined, as always, by...
Sybsidian of the Triple S League.
And please be patient with him. He is a little bit sick.
I am. I was sent a really cool video, and it had a little bit of a virus in it, I think, and not the one that starts with the C, but the just a regular mild virus. My cybernetic system shot it off pretty quick, but still, I have to contend with inflamed tonsils, a uvula, and a cybernetic matrix dongle. Which, if you don't know what a cybernetic matrix dongle is, I don't have time to explain it to you.
Yeah, when you start putting uvulas and dongles together, it's just not. Most of the time, you do get transmitted viruses. Let's go to the first story. Obviously, the biggest news in the world of entertainment this past week was arguably the fact that Netflix lost like $54 billion because they had their earnings report that. I think it was the earnings report. Well, whatever. It was a report that told people that invest in them that they lost, 2 million subscribers over the last quarter or something like that. And the reason why we figured we'd talk about this is...
Because it's funny. Ridiculously funny.
Right, yes. Especially given a lot of the things that they've chosen to do lately. I guess we could address a bit of that just because it's interesting, but we will get to how it affects gaming in a second. But this has sort of been Syb's major purview, so I'm going to toss it over to him. So what's been going on with that?
Well, I mean, yeah. So Netflix, I think, is not a very smart company. They broke the law in a state, so at least one, and again, if more people, I'm tired of directors and writers being able to write whatever they want and never being held accountable for some of it.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm not suggesting book burning. I'm not suggesting heavy censorship, but when you have a guy who routinely writes about underage orgies, and when I say underage, I mean like really underage, not like writing like the upper limit that's legal in your state and or country, but like half of that, like cut that number in half, and then they write about that constantly. It's a little disturbing, and it's even more disturbing that that their books are so freaking popular. And again, we have this every so happens it happens with Hollywood people, because Hollywood people are it's not just they write about it or make movies about it. It's like they act on this stuff. It's disgusting. It's disturbing, and yeah, it is just one of the many problems that Netflix has had. They've also just done really dumb things, like pushing particular shows that nobody wanted or were interested in, whilst they were sitting on like licenses to make other shows that were far more popular, but they never did anything with that. It's like, it's so weird.
They're also guilty of false advertising. Like they say that Hannah Gadsby is a comedian, and I watch it and I don't laugh at all. No, sorry, it's an easy joke, but it works.
Right. So yeah, there is some good shows, obviously, right? They have had some successes. They've had,
Daredevil.
Stranger Things is pretty decent show. It's been getting a little off the rails recently, but second season seemed to be pretty decent. Of course, Arcane, probably the best show of the last, I'd say probably the best show of the last decade, because I can't really think of anything else that's topped that.
Well, there was a little show called Game of Thrones, minus season 8.
Well, except I have to include that. Like when I talk about DS9 being one of the best shows ever, that includes that really difficult first 2 seasons they had. That was just brutal to watch, but very important for the latter end of the show when they started to tie a lot of those things up.
Mm-hmm.
So I yeah, so there's certain shows, certain products that they've done that are good, but then there's other things that are just really creepy and really like really disturbing. And then also just like again the picks with some of the stuff that comes out that just isn't good. It just isn't funny. They haven't like found a good system for it. Some of it is, some of it's not, and so I would say that it's being run rather poorly, and that they need to improve that in some way, shape, or form. Because if they don't, well, this is going to keep happening, and it's going to keep getting worse. So, yeah.
They got to stop running it at a loss, which they've been doing their entire existence. That's number one. Hopefully, this will be sort of the first thing that kickstarts them to go down that path. I mean, they did cut their entire animation budget, right, because of this. So that's a good step in the right direction. But they are, from what I understand, and this is why we're talking about this, they are choosing to still go down the road of gaming, right?
Yeah. So they're doubling down on gaming, and then game-related shows and stuff. So one of the big things that I mentioned beforehand is they're pushing more games for things like Stranger Things. So that's an interesting take.
Sure.
They're trying to connect in with Dota, Cuphead, The Witcher, obviously Castlevania, League of Legends, like I said, and they're trying
BioShock.
they're trying to connect with other things, such as so there's apparently there's more stuff and more connected stuff like Squid Game coming, and then there's shows that are like actual shows that are coming out supposedly pretty soon, such as the Exploding Kittens.
What?
Yeah, have you ever watched Exploding Kittens? Have you ever played Exploding Kittens?
No, I've never heard of it. That's hilarious. So is the actual game called Exploding Kittens?
Yeah. Typically, it's a tabletop game.
Oh. Well,
played with cards.
Oh, okay, so you don't actually see kittens explode?
No.
Damn.
Well, and it's sort of like, it's super cartoony and it's kind of silly. Again, I've never liked the game because I just can't get over the whole like title of the game. But they're really starting to try and double down on as many games as they can, because the games, like, again, there's a lot of games out there that have a very dubious microtransaction system.
Yeah.
And we've been asked to advertise for a mobile game coming up from a major studio. We're in the runnings for it at the moment. They'll be potentially putting a lot of people together. We probably won't get it, but why would I even allow ourselves to be in the running for that? And that's because somebody has to start asking the developers point blank on like live shows, questions, not to be like gotcha or in your face, but it's like,
no, just
hey,
legitimate questions.
What are you guys doing for monetization, and how are you going to help limit the number of people who have some kind of a gambling addiction or that have a gaming addiction, and they just can't put the credit card down, and they get angry and they spend $10K. It's like, how, like, $10K that sometimes they don't have.
Yeah.
And so those are important questions, and developers need to be faced with that when they're making these games where in which that is a possibility. And it feels like we've been on the losing fight on this for years now.
Yeah.
Because the more we talk about how, gaming and microtransactions are bad, the more these games come out and the more people flock to them. So this is what I think Netflix is looking at to kind of save their butts. I hope they realize that they don't want to become a gaming platform, because that's a thing that may end up like coming to a screeching halt someday.
They'll become like the new MTV, right?
Well, I think they can balance games and shows, but they have to keep good, entertaining, well-made shows coming in which to play games off of.
Yes.
Otherwise, they're gonna get stuck. Like there's certain games, like, I have no idea why Candy Crush is still popular. Like, I get it when it originally came out, but why are there still people playing it and still getting sucked into it. Hey, Jimmy spent $13,000 of the Smiths' money last month on Candy Crush. Candy Crush, really? Wow, that's horrible. Oh my goodness, Candy Crush, you say. Is that video game you can play on your phone? Yeah, I should download that. Why? After hearing that story, why?
Especially when there's a million different forms of entertainment where you can just pay one upfront price and not get taken advantage of in other respects.
Yeah, and again, it's like it's so difficult because again, there's more and more game genres, whole genres right now that you can't get anywhere else, essentially, other than on the Play Store and the Apple Store, and they're microtransaction laden games.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite, like the old Heroes of Might and Magic game concept. You have your town, your city, you build structures in your city to kind of like get forces, then you take those forces out and you explore around the map, and there's little gold piles and wood piles and ore piles sitting around, and you collect them, and then you go back to your city and you build another thing, and then you eventually push in, take on some like giant ogre fortress, and then you get a bunch of resources for that, then you go back. Sometimes you can recruit them or convert some of their enemy units, you throw them in together. It's a really good system. I really love this gameplay. One of the latest games to have this that's like top tier was No, I'm thinking I'm saying the wrong thing. Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. I was going to do Path Righteous, and I was like, no, that's not correct. So Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous has this. There's a couple other games that I've King's Bounty, a couple other ones that are kind of like that, but they're not like Pathfinder's amazing. That's top tier. It's really solid. Mm-hmm. But as far as like games that game's not just that. It's mostly like a D&D type, walker. It's in the Pathfinder universe, and it's like a party system, and you got to go and save the world, basically. Mm. But you don't get just the system. But there's a ton of phone games that are like that now that have this really nostalgic trip back. Oh yeah, and you can also spend $800 on just one flash page of like cool deals that they have for the day. Yeah, $800. No,
yeah,
thank
you.
I'm not downloading the game. No, I'm not. I pull up like a just a Google image search of the game, and here's a picture of the deals of the day. $800. You got $800 to blow in a freaking video game a day? It's like this stuff is getting worse and worse and worse. So yeah, I hope that Netflix avoids this. I hope that they're not doubling down on, well, let's make some video games there and we'll sell them to the kids. And hey, what about this microtransaction? I understand that, it makes a lot of money. Bobby was in here the other day talking about how much Candy Crush made for him. So how do we do this monetization? Am I saying that right? Yes, sir. You're saying that right. We have a 2:30 appointment, and he'll explain everything. Oh, great. That's great. Who am I meeting? Let's see here. Mr. Devil Lucifer. Mr. Devil Lucifer. You can call him Lucifer if you want. He's going to meet you, and he's going to walk you through the whole process on microtransactions and mobile games and little app games that you can play on your phone and stuff. Oh, great. Wait. Did you see the devil? Yeah.
No, that's just his last name.
He's in my racquetball team. Oh, that's great. This is going to be awesome. So yeah, that is seriously what I've been feeling, and I suspect that Netflix is going to go down this road of pumping out cheap, asset flipped games that just like, hey kid, you're at home by yourself. How old are you? 5. Oh, good enough. Do you know where? Let's play a game. Do you know where Mama's wallet is?
Right.
They'll
make the games rated E for everyone so that it's okay for them to play on the Netflix Kids locked account sort of thing, and then that's how they'll get the kids to spend the money.
Netflix, I can solve all your problems for you.
Yeah, make good games.
Apologize for one or two of the products that you've put out that are illegal in some states. They're not some new take on freedom of speech or anti-censorship. They are literally things that shouldn't exist because they're illegal in lots of places. They're really not that good. The story could have been done better. It could have been done a lot better. It could have been improved and tweaked and changed in a way that you could actually get the point across. But I'm critical of this particular show that I'm not saying the name of because it didn't actually have a point. I read the synopsis. I read through the story. I watched everybody do the deep dives on it. There was no good story there. Mm-hmm. There wasn't. It had like the shadow of a good story, and it did cover some very important issues, but none of those issues were dealt with. They were just kind of there, and then they just went away. And that's not what kids have to deal with. So Netflix, you want to make some money, make good shows, make good games. Don't listen to analysts or people on Twitter with a handful of followers. Don't listen to them when they tell you like what kinds of stuff that you have to include. Just talk to people who are good at making like hit video games, that have made hit video games in both the indie and the major studios in the last couple of weeks. Say, how did you do this? And then just do what they tell you that they did. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the number one thing. And then secondly, find some good shows to like reboot and just kind of take off. Like there's an idea for you. You know, we've been dying for a good like Star Trek show for a really long time that doesn't pull any punches. That's just straight up just old fashioned Star Trek. Just go to a planet, find some cool aliens, have some, fights or conversations with them, solve a couple problems, play some card games. There you go. So yeah, I don't know if they'll.
Could they even do Star Trek though? Because that's like exclusive.
Oh, they can't do Star Trek, but they could certainly like partner. They could, they've got options of what they could do or what they could partner with. There's enough. There's enough close similarities. Like, you got the Orville. That's a great show.
Oh,
really reminiscent of like Next Generation Star Trek. It's pretty solid. They've got tons of different options that they could do. And then not to mention just like anime is going nuts. I don't know why they killed their animation department. I think it was because they haven't been doing it right. And they haven't been doing, especially their anime stuff, they just really have not been doing that right. For the English dub, they get terrible voice actors. I hate to crap on some of these people, but I could spend $5 on Fiverr and get a better like full episode than some of these people who did some of the dialogue for some of their English dubs. Oh my God. I don't know who they're paying for this. And not all of them are atrocious, but like more than what there should be are just horrendously atrocious. They need to fix that. And again, I could point to like 5 YouTubers off the top of my head that actually could do a better job if they just paid them. Like they don't even have to pay them very much. All they have to do is pay them a little. Yeah. Like that's the thing. These people are lining up to do this kind of stuff. There are thousands of people itching to get some voice work done that are actually really good at the craft, and yet Netflix goes to some weird studio in the middle of nowhere that hires some of the worst people ever. It's like you got your priorities wrong there somewhere, like dudes, like seriously. Oh Lord.
If you guys ever do a Metal Gear Solid animated show, you know where to find me. I'll do it for really, really minimal payment, trust me. Anyways, right. That's sort of the state of Netflix right now. It'll be very interesting to see not just what happens next week, which will be interesting, but sort of where they go with the gaming stuff and whether or not they'll take the righteous path. But something tells me that given sort of their more recent track record, that's probably not what they're going to do. Anyways, Speaking of corporate misdoing, allegedly, let's talk about Sony PlayStation. So, not Sony PlayStation, Sony Interactive Entertainment. They are sort of one of many gaming companies at the moment that are going through a lot of gender discrimination lawsuits. As we know, last year there was the one filed against Activision Blizzard by the Department for Fair Employment and Housing in California. And then there was a whole bunch of other ones that grew up after that and around that. There's Ubisoft one, Riot Games, and one or two other ones. And one of them includes Sony. There was a lawsuit filed by a former IT analyst for Sony back in November of 2021. Her name was, what was it? I think her name was Emma Majau, M-A-J-O. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. She said that Sony Interactive Entertainment were engaging in gender discrimination and wrongful termination of former female employees at the company. Majau said that Sony discriminated against females and female-identifying employees in terms of compensation, promotions, and subjected them to a work culture predominated by men. Now, after the whole Activision Blizzard thing, people, including me and Syb, I would suppose, are more inclined to take this sort of stuff seriously because we know that sort of stuff was happening at Activision Blizzard. And so when people start to speak up en masse, we just, by nature, we tend to pay a little bit closer attention. But having said that, there's a reason why we have sort of courts of law, we have due process to make sure that all claims that are made are investigated and determined to be righteous or are not founded, right? So in regards to this particular lawsuit, more recently, the judge in the lawsuit, her name was Laurel Beeler. This happened this past week. She dismissed 10 of the 13 claims that were being made in this lawsuit, right? She said there were not enough details that were provided to prove a lot of the stuff that Emma was saying. However, she did say that there was enough there that she would be willing to come back to this case soon and see if Emma had anything more to provide, right? That's just where that particular story is at the moment. Sony continues to deny any actual wrongdoing. Maybe there isn't any wrongdoing. It's not like every every game development company is exactly going to be like Activision Blizzard. There are a lot of gaming companies, and I do talk to game developers at some major gaming studios, and they all tell me that the culture is great. They don't tolerate that sort of crap. So maybe it's the same thing here with Sony, and maybe it isn't. Saib, do you have any thoughts on sort of the development of this?
I do. I don't know this. I don't know any of these cases in particular. I do know that there have been allegations made at Sony a lot, and I would say there's a decent amount of them that are false and a decent amount of them that are true. And that's always how this stuff usually plays out. There's a lot of people who make ridiculous statements that are, it's like, the boss didn't let me have like a 5-hour break today because, Mr. Sniffles at home hasn't been feeling good and I just couldn't work because of it. It's like, I've heard people like that. I've also heard people who walk in and go, dude, man, I was like high last night so much. And then I went skating and I skated into a moving car, and
because the moving car looked like a big Hershey bar.
I just can't do it today. I've seen both of those types of people, right? Both of the types of people that they're not interested in the work, they're not interested in whatever, and when you get after them, they get prissy and they start yelling back. But I've also heard times, and I've also seen times where somebody's like, I just had, one or multiple deaths in my immediate, life circle. And I can't work right now.
Yeah.
And then the boss is like, well, screw you. It's like, what's wrong? I not only have I seen it, I've been on the receiving end of it. Jeez. I had my dog died. And I had to go put her down. She had a massive stroke and she couldn't move, and it was just killing her. And it was terrible. And it killed me. And my boss rang me to say, why are you wasting time? There's a thing called a ditch. Just put the dog there and just come into work. And thoughts of rage, like stabbing needles into my head, and I just couldn't see anything. I'm doing a bit from Clue.
Right. Heaving breaths on the side of my face. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you know that one. But still, it was like movies. It was disgusting. And yeah, there are people who do that all the time.
Dude, I can't believe it's just I know so many people in my own life and people that I've spoken to online who have had employers that act like that. I don't understand.
Well, employers, especially for like small companies, a lot of the times the leadership comes down to just whoever happens to stick their hand up first or whoever kind of like muscles their way into a position. I have seen this way too many times to count, where the actual guy who knows what's going on and who could actually do a good job is humming and hawing and thinking about it, and he's sitting there, he or she is sitting there going, should I put my name into the bucket for this? Is this a good thing for me to do? And they're thinking about it, and then somebody else, comes along who's a slimy, greasy piece of POS who is just out for themselves. They don't care about the company. They don't care about anybody there. And they just like muscle their way into that position and say, yeah, no, I've got this all covered. And then they're the slimiest boss who ends up destroying the company. Again, I've seen this dozens of times.
Yeah.
Personally.
It's like, what's the name of Paul Atreides' dad in Dune? I can't remember. Anyways, I'm paraphrasing what he said. It's like leaders, the best leaders are the ones that don't want to lead, but are nonetheless called to it and accept the challenge.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so in this case, do I trust PlayStation? No, I do not trust PlayStation. Do I trust everybody who makes a complaint? No, I don't trust everybody who makes a complaint, because you do need evidence. And when you don't get evidence, again, that is something that needs to be encouraged more. I really think that they could take out some stuff in schools and just have a class on how to deal with, how to be a good worker, how to get ahead in the company, how to
not be a piece of S,
how not to be a piece of garbage, how to be a good leader, how to be a good follower, how to progress things. I think if they did that, I think a lot of those kids would probably end up getting like way more successful, because they could just start working, and do and do good things, and then build their own companies later on. It's like it works, right? It's a good system. So, but yeah, in this case, it's often like 50-50 ish, right? On initial complaints. Once you get those initial complaints past a judge the first time, or pretty good lawyer, it's like, yes, that's good, because you want to, like, you need to get this stuff out of there where again, it's like, it's superficial. It wasn't real. This is why we have courts. This is why we don't allow people to make false complaints, because when you make a false complaint, you're not hurting yourself or the boss. You're hurting the other people who have actually had this stuff happen to them.
Yeah.
And you're a scumbag for doing that, because what you're doing is you're ruining somebody else's chance at justice, because you're meddling with the system because you think you can make an easy buck. Right. And again, I have seen this firsthand, where somebody makes a statement, somebody makes an obviously untrue thing. It gets found out that they made it up, and they just their own the only thing they can say is, hey, I got to look out for me. Right? Like, I got to make sure that I'm covering for me, because nobody looks out for number one. I've got to look out for number one. I'm number one. It's like, no, you're being a piece of poo right now. Right. You're being a very bad piece of poo right now, because what you're doing is you're making it so that other people who've actually had this happen to them be taken less seriously.
Yeah, you're making it impossible for other people to look out for number one.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's super disturbing. It's super annoying, and it just sucks. Yeah. And so with that, basically, like, again, we can't trust any mega corporation, because you'd be a fool to trust any mega corporation ever. The more money they make, the more inclined they are to do really bad things to maintain their vice grip on power.
And anybody who thinks that like these corporations that virtue signal over the latest political issue, if you actually think that they care, there's a bridge in Brooklyn that I'd like to sell you.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so we'll see what comes of that. Just maintain the same tried and true ethic when it comes to stuff like this. Trust, but verify. Wait for all the details to come out, and then base decisions off of that. All right. We just got a couple more stories.
And like I said, I don't want to come down too hard on the people who make these claims.
Sure.
It's like if like I've been very loud that Blizzard needs to pay through the nose. Well, again, not really Blizzard, it's Activision mostly. Activision needs to pay through the nose for this kind of stuff, for the things that they let happen there. And many other companies, they need to pay harshly. They need to pay till it hurts. Yep. You don't need to don't just go after the company entity. No, I really think that people in charge in these studios that were in positions of power that knew this stuff was going on and turned a blind eye, I think you need to hit them so hard in their wallets. I think some of these people need to serve jail time, like maybe not constant jail time, in Rikers or whatever, but like some of these people need to go to jail every weekend for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So that they understand that they cannot turn their eye when this stuff happens and blow it off. You just can't do that. Again, I felt like I was coming off a little too harsh on the people who are trying to get justice and not. It's like, no.
I don't think you were, man.
But this is the other thing. It's like, if you're going into a company, record everything. Like seriously. Not stay within the bounds of the law, but know your rights, know what's going on, and when something starts to happen that's not good, say something, show up, record it, send it, make friends with your fellow employees and pass the word around. Don't let these people get away with this stuff.
And that way you can be a beacon of light to those who that were unable to seek justice before and give them hope that more justice will be found in the future. Okay, a couple more stories before we conclude. What's going on with Xenoblade?
So Xenoblade was scheduled to come out later this summer, very late this summer, almost fall.
Uh-huh.
And this is great. Good news. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is not coming out in, what was it, August? It's coming out at the end of July.
Huh.
They're actually bumping up the release date because they're ahead of schedule. I gotta say, good on you guys. I'm seriously happy about this. I seriously think Nintendo is doing something good here. I think they gave themselves a good buffer, and I think now that it's ready to go, they're bringing it out. And congratulations! I like the thought and the general feel of of Xenoblade Chronicles, because it reminds me of the cyberpunky kind of stuff to it. But I don't play it because I don't have a Nintendo Switch. I just never got around to it.
Dude, that is objectively great news for everybody except for me, because I recently played Xenogears, which is the first in the Xeno franchise, and I've been meaning to get through all the other games, Xenosaga, the first two Xenoblades. Now that just means I'm going to have to try and power through it if I want to be able to enjoy Xenoblade Chronicles 3 with everybody else when it comes out, but given my schedule, I don't think that's going to happen, so damn it. But I'm so happy for everybody else, and yeah, kudos to them, especially given the fact that over the last couple of years, with COVID and everything was getting delayed. The fact that they were able to get this out just a little bit earlier, I mean, kudos to you. And it's great because from what I understand, the Xenoblade games have been wonderful so far, and hopefully I'll get to play them sometime in my lifetime. Maybe if they'd stop being so goddamn long. Right. Yeah, but that's good news. Have you ever played any of the Xeno games?
Long time ago on old hardware.
You ever played Xenogears?
I have not played the newer ones. I can't remember. I think I played Xenogears. It's been a really long time.
Yeah, Xenogears was PS1. I played it for the first time in the last year. Holy crap, is that game amazing? Like, people say games like Elden Ring are ambitious with the wealth of content that is offered to you. Elden Ring ain't got nothing on Xenogears. And, I love Elden Ring. That should say a lot about how good Xenogears is. So please go check it out if you guys have like a PS1 emulator, or even if you have a copy from way back in the day that you never played. All right, and then finally, speaking of games that I love, It Takes Two came out last year. Was my game of the year, and honestly, I loved it so much that I would say that it was probably one of the top 20 games that I've ever played. There was just this quality to it, this charm that it had that I've never been able to find in any other game. Even games that from my childhood that I was particularly charmed by, like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, stuff like that. And there was just this originality to the way that the gameplay was approached and the world design. It was just magical. I'm sure you played it, right, with Moon. Did you like it?
Yeah. The It Takes Two, not the other one, the earlier one that he did.
A Way Out.
Yeah. No, I did not play A Way Out.
No, neither did I.
That's the Prison Break one, right?
Yeah. I really want to play it though, especially after. I just haven't had time.
Yeah. No, Moon and I did play the one. We didn't like that we had to install some certain software. We were a little annoyed with that. But no, I think just in general, I think the guy is brilliant. We really did like the game. We were having a lot of fun with it, but again, we kind of had to get it off our computers because certain programs are not welcome on my hard drive.
Oh, and okay.
So we had some minor issues with that, but other than that, no, we really liked it. We really did, and I thought it was a great take on the concept of like improving the 2-player experience. Mm-hmm. I think that's really good, and I think that I'm hoping that we will see more of this because it's a really, really good thing, and I want to encourage that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it's sort of a lost integral component of gaming life, especially now that everything's online and people can just play online with each other. There's something about a gaming experience that is inherently 2-player that encourages you to play co-op with your partner, and building an entire game around that. Like the only other game that I can think of off the top of my head where 2-player co-op was so emphasized was Halo, and even then, like with Halo Infinite, we don't have that at the moment. But anyways, the reason why we're talking about It Takes Two is apparently because of its popularity. There's been an option for a movie to come out about it, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, yes, the wrestler, the guy who's attached to everything, he has thrown his hat in to produce the movie and even potentially star in it. We don't know if he'll star in it yet. We're just going with the bare details that were given to us by Variety. Another little bit of interesting detail about a possible It Takes Two movie is that the writers for the most recent Sonic the Hedgehog movies, Pat Casey and Josh Miller, are attached to it. So, I mean, like, by the way, Saib, I should tell you, I saw Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I really, really liked it. I was surprised at how much I liked it, especially, like, because the first one, it was okay.
It was just good fun.
Yes.
It was like, it's just good fun. And there was like a little bit in there that I was like rolling my eyes on, but I know that like that scene, that's padding content, right? Because it's really expensive to do the Sonic animations and the high grade, like,
CGI.
Real world impacting stuff like that. That's actually kind of difficult to pull off. It's not easy. But yeah, so I get it. And I thought it was a little corny, but you got to also remember it's mostly aimed at kids, and the kids, all the kids that we were watching it like in the theater,
they were digging it.
We were watching it. They were laughing hysterically. They thought it was really funny that the whole wedding thing. They really thought that part was funny. They were laughing at that and making jokes and stuff like that. And it's like that's what you want in a kids movie.
Yeah.
If you get the kids shouting out joke lines at the screen, it's like you got it made, bro. You like that's exactly what you want. Like capture more of that. Netflix, like, geez, Louise, like I'm convinced that these people don't like, these people listen to what Siskel and Ebert, of course they're not doing that anymore. But they listen to the hoity-toity reviewers. They don't ever like get into a theater and sit down and watch people's reactions. It's like that's more important than what Mr. Hoity-toity, I believe this, and this movie, where was the passion, the romance, where was the galactic interactions of the heart and the mind meeting in the middle of the thing? It's a Thomas the Tank Train movie,
right?
You don't need that. It's for kids. It's for 5-year-olds. Like, geez Louise.
And normally, I saw the movie, like there were a bunch of kids in my theater. Normally I would just get really pissed off when a kid is just like being vocal in the movie theater. It would just take me out. But it actually enhanced the viewing experience for me. And like you said, it's just in those moments, the enjoyment of a kid just, it elevates an adult's heart. And man, that line about, you look like a cross between Professor X and the guy from the Monopoly game, that had me howling. That was so brilliant. Okay. But anyways, if they're attached to this movie, that gives me a lot of faith, because it shows that like they're taking the project seriously. They're bringing on people that have demonstrated that they know how to do video game adaptations. And this one shouldn't be too hard. It's not like a lot more sophisticated than the lore and world of Sonic the Hedgehog, right? If they can do it with It Takes Two and bring more attention and make more people want to play that game, hell yeah. I'm just wondering though, like, if Dwayne Johnson does it, if it will have the same impact. I don't know. Like sometimes I do like Dwayne Johnson's movies, but sometimes I don't think he belongs in certain roles. Like I can't imagine him playing Cody, Like
yeah,
it doesn't.
I mean, maybe his voice, like if it was just voice work. Like it was an animated thing?
Right, but there's an adult version, like a non-toy version, spoiler alert, that happens at the very beginning of the game, where he's human, and then he becomes the doll. Like, are we supposed to see him be this beefy, macho dude?
Just animate that part, too.
Oh, like, just have it full... Well, okay, yeah, you could go full-on animated, I suppose. It doesn't have to be live action.
If the animation was just, like, in and around the line of what they already had...
Right.
Then I think that works great.
But that's just predicated on whether or not they do it CGI or live action. But yeah, if they do it live action, then great. I mean, that'd be fine with that. So let's hope that comes to fruition, and hope that it'll be one of a whole bunch of video game related projects that come out and actually happen to be good. And it seems we're on that trajectory for once. All right. That was everything that we have. Yeah, it's we had a little bit of a shorter show than we normally did. It's been a bit of a slow news week. That tends to happen in the lead up to June, because that's usually when all the big announcements are made. Even though we don't have E3 this year, we'll have Summer Games Fest and all that crap.
It's coming soon. We're going to start getting an avalanche of stuff and news, because this is also the avalanche of like finally people being out of like, the whole COVID thing, and they're finally back to like normal life. Imagine that. Imagine that. Normal life.
A normal life. Like, but during COVID, we're inside playing games. And in a normal life, we're inside playing games. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for the Maximum News Show once again this week. If you like this episode, make sure to hit that like button. It not only helps this particular episode get to more potential viewers, it also helps all the other videos on this channel. It's free and easy to do, so just hit it. Don't even think about it. Just get like Nike and just do it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so that way you can stay tuned for more of these episodes, bringing you all the latest and greatest news in the world of video games. I want to thank Syb, as always, for doing the show with me and his lovely insight, especially being the trooper that he is, doing it while he's sick, which I didn't have the power to do when I was sick a couple weeks ago. Syb, do you want to tell other people about the main channel and what's going on there?
Yeah, check out the main channel, the Triple S League. We got guides and stuff, and and I'm also trying to be a little bit more active on Twitter, mostly because of this whole leader, like mostly because of this whole thing. I've been it's all I guarantee you it'll probably be a roller coaster. Some days I might put out something super cryptic and weird, and just like just throwing it out there, being a little cryptic. Other times I'm going to be very spicy, and I'm going to be throwing around stuff. I got into it with a whole bunch of fanboys for Lost Ark. Lost Ark's got a bunch of content, My argument is they should get that content out quickly. Why? Because they're working on new content. Like, there's more content. Like, they got a new class that's coming out in like a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why not give us all the classes? And then instead of like giving us one class a month, you can give us the new class when it comes out. Because the game plays a lot like League of Legends. It's like you got hundreds of classes there. It's like, do the same thing here. It makes sense. Just put out all the classes so that the community can play all the classes. And then that way, every couple of months, like every month or two, you've got a new class coming out from what they're doing behind the thing there. But no, they're setting it up so that it's going to trickle out over the next year. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? And of course, the people jumping out to defend a multi-billion-dollar company of Amazon going, you don't understand, man. You don't understand. I'm being lippy with them. And it's
corporate fanboys.
I am not above name calling. I name call all the bloody time. On Twitter, because, why not?
I mean, it's not really name calling if that's exactly what they are. I mean, call them corporate slaves, because that's what they are. You're a corporate slave. You're a tool. And it's like
sucking up to a billion-dollar company. They don't understand. They got to take time to blah, 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 blah. No, they already lied to us. The files are already in the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're just waiting to be turned on. That's so scummy. That's so scummy for a company to do. Oh, yes, we're working on this content over here. When are you going to get it to me? Over the next year. You got to keep playing to get it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, okay. Quick question. Are the files for this thing in the game? Boss, he wants to know if the files are in the game. Well, tell him the files aren't in the game, but they are in the game. Oh, shit. Oh, okay. Well, we can't tell him that the files are. Well, okay. Can we just, try to pretend that we don't hear him asking the question? And it's like stuff like that. It really burns my gears, and it really burns my gears when some numbskull is out there defending them for this. It's like, they're a billion-dollar company. They don't need you to stout for them. Like grow up.
Yeah, they have the money to fast track development. The reason why they don't is because they're incompetent. And you guys can find me at my channel, which I'll put a link to in the description box, and all the other forms of social media, just at Max Derrat. I'll put links to my stuff as well as Syb stuff down below. Thanks, guys, and until we do this again next week, I want to remind you, as always and as per usual, stay yellow.